Alright, so we're going to try and straighten up the home stat page here by adding these progress bars around the main image. It's kind of in the shape of a diamond, which is actually a hexagon. Actually, it's not a diamond. 6 sides. So let's go ahead and add these. How I'm going to do it is I'm going to add a row and center that one, and then a second row, and we're going to add multiple rows, and then we're going to add an underlying layer for the image. So let's jump back over here, and in the HTML file, we actually need to do a progress bar. So in where we have the image, it's actually going to be the underlying layer. So here we're going to go ahead and create the row. And in here, we're going to add a column of 12. Now, bootstrap columns, this means this is basically going to be 100% of the container. So now in this main column here, go ahead and add a div with a class of level progress. And now if you save and refresh, you'll see this progress bar here. We need to get this underneath the progress bar. So let's set the position to absolute. Let's add some margin, and it's not doing anything. Set the width to 100%, and that's kind of exactly what we want there. So let's go ahead and copy this over to our CSS file. Do we have? Okay, cool. We've got the center image there. So we just need to target the class center image and then paste everything in there. Let's save that and refresh, and we've got our progress bar here. But what we need to do is we need to make that a lot smaller. So, we're going to add a container around it. It's going to have the class stat bar. What just happened? That was weird. All right. So we've got the stat bar, which we are going to style that to make it look smaller. And then the level progress will be 100% width of that. So let's go ahead in the stat bar and let's set the width to 30, 60. And then we're going to set the margin to auto. And that's going to center the progress bar. So let's copy these over into our CSS file here. And in the CSS file, just create a new target for stat bar. And then save it. Now we need to add a bunch of other ones. And what we're going to do there is we're just going to copy it and paste one on the far bottom. And then we're also going to have two other rows. So this one, just copy it and change it to call 3. Copy this. There we go. Set the middle column to empty. And it's going to be 6 wide. And it's kind of what we want, but we want a main container around it, and we need it. We need some line spacing as well. But right here, we need to add a container. We can just style this. So we can set the max width to about 400 pixels, and then the margin auto, this is going to center it, and it looks a little better, but it shoved that image over. We're going to have to play around with this a little bit. So let's go ahead and copy that into our CSS file. This is going to target the status ID. Just going to paste that in there, save and refresh, and there we go. So now let's go ahead and copy the middle row and we're going to put it below, and this is going to be our second 2-column wide, or it's going to be our second row that has 2 progress bars in it. So let's go ahead and fix this image. What we need to do is we need to actually remove the width and the margin. And we're just going to set the left property, actually margin left. Just going to set the margin left to 300, no, 100. Yeah, 100 pixels looks a lot better. So let's go ahead and copy these style rules into our style sheet here. And this is going to target the image. So go ahead and find center image and just replace the rules that are in there currently. So if we save that and refresh, this is kind of what we want now. So these I'm actually going to wrap in an element that we can style. So I'm going to say div class stat bars. Drop down underneath all of the rows, and we're going to just close that off there. And if you save and refresh, now we have a stat bars container. So what we can do is apply some margin bottoms to the rows themselves, and this will make it, it'll add some spacing. So let's go ahead and target stat bars row, and margin bottom is going to be 100 pixels, and this looks close. It's getting better. And the image actually is going to have to, we're going to have to set the margin top equal to 50. And that looks about right. Yeah. All right, let's go with 50. And then margin left, it looks off-centered, so I'm going to say minus. There we go. So let's copy these rules over to the image itself. So find center image, and then just paste those rules that you left in the Chrome tools there in here. So let's save this and refresh, and now this looks a lot better. So now we can actually put the progress indicators in. So I'm going to drop down here to the bottom where we had the actual level progress, and I'm going to copy the progress indicator itself. And then inside each of the level progress, I'm just going to paste the level progress indicator in there. And let's save and refresh, and there we go. Now we've got actual progress bars that we should be able to control the width of. Now, for some reason, it's not working through the width property, and that's an inline style. I've never had this problem before, but it looks like the width property on this div element for some reason is not being applied. So let's go ahead and let's just create some utility classes in our style sheet. So it's going to be width 10. So W10, we're going to set the width to 10%. And then we're just going to copy this way up to 90 so that we can apply classes depending on which, well, how far we want the bar filled. $60, $70. I'm going to copy this down. $80. No, not $780. And then the last one, $90. Then we're going to go add these classes to each stat progress indicators. So let's jump in there and W30 on that one. We're going to leave that as it is. W90, and just go ahead and add some of these classes here. And then if we save and refresh, now we've got kind of dynamic progress bars. And this is exactly what we want here. And something happened with this image, and I'm not sure if the background kind of lightened up when I added the brightness, or let me just play around with this for a sec, see if I can get it looking better. Now, the alternative would be obviously if I could just take the image itself and just style the image to make it look green. Like we could put it through GIMP or Photoshop, and we could do all the style itself and still, export it with a transparent background, and that would fix it. Is there background on this element? No. I'm not too sure. That's really weird. This image, it has a transparent background, but for some reason the style that I've added to the actual element here to change the colors of it somehow changed the background of the transparent background of the image as well. But if I remove the source, it's good. If we undo the filter, we still actually get that. Change the opacity there. It definitely, it's being applied by that layer in some way. Let me undo some of these and see if we can filter it down to where the problem is. And no matter what we do, it's still there. Is it the scanline layer? No? No, because they're still on top of it, so they're being applied over. I will figure that out. I'm not sure why it's doing that. That's really weird. But we do have the progress indicators. So in the next video, hopefully I'd have found out what that background problem is, and then we can fix that, and then also do these bottom icons.